Congratulations, though, seriously. I actually came by and saw the show earlier this week, and it's such an impressive collection of work. I hope that you all feel really proud to be a part of this. I can remember being a part of the Scholastics when I was in high school and being really inspired by all the other work, and I feel the same way looking at the show today. Also, I know all the families and friends who are here supporting you. I want to say thank you to all of you, because that is so important for a creative person, to have others in their life who encourage and support them. My parents were certainly, they were not artists. There was not much art in our home, but they somehow ended up with a really, artistic kid too, actually, and they really supported us in that. So for all of you who are here supporting somebody, thank you. If there are any art teachers here, thank you as well. All the work that you do is immeasurably important. I grew up in Ohio. Like I said, my parents were not artists. My dad worked for the railroad, my mom worked for a mortgage company. But for some reason, when I was 3 years old, every morning I would wake up, and way early before they did, and I had about 200 drawings done before they got out of bed. I know that sounds impressive, but keep in mind, these were not masterpieces. They were not Michelangelo drawings. They looked like the drawings that a 3-year-old would make. But what it showed was that I just loved doing it. A lot of people think that in order to be an artist, you have to be born with this magic ability. And I don't necessarily think that's what it is. I think that it's more some kind of creative drive. I had to just keep doing this, and the more that you do something, the better you get at it. And you can never stop learning. Luckily, since my parents weren't artists, when I was 4 years old, they found an artist in the community to start teaching me. So I began taking oil painting lessons when I was 4 years old. And my parents' house became this museum of my oil paintings to this day. And I painted all the things I loved, Disney characters, fairy tales, comic books, whatever. I learned the techniques, but I was able to paint and draw stuff that I was interested in. So that's important too. You have to have like a genuine love for it. By the time I was in middle school, I started to experience a lot of bullying. Maybe it was because I have always sort of had a little bit of an interesting fashion sense. I don't know. Maybe it was because I was just not athletic. I was more into the creative stuff. But for whatever reason, I did not fit in, and my peers could pick up on that, and they made life pretty miserable for me for quite a while. So if any of you have ever felt that way for your own reasons, know that you're not alone. For me, the thing that helped get me through that was art. I had this creative outlet. No matter what happened at school, no matter what somebody said or did to me, I knew that I could go and make a painting about it, or I could make a drawing or write something, and that really would help. And I think that was what first kind of opened my eyes to how important art can be for helping not only you to deal with your own issues, but to create conversations. When people look at the work that you've created, they kind of connect with it in their own way. Maybe not in the exact same way you intended, but it starts to get people thinking about issues. And so for me, it became this wonderful way of expressing myself, and it still is to this day. So now I am a professional artist. I show my paintings in galleries. I actually just had a show here a few months ago. Thank you. So I know this is a great space because I was just here myself. But I do shows in galleries and museums. I also do book illustrations. I've done the covers for over 400 books. I've done, paintings for movies. I've just gotten to do all kinds of things. If any of you parents and family members are kind of like my parents were when I would drag them to these events as a teenager, the question on your mind might be, is it possible for somebody to make a living doing this? If my child loves it, should I really be encouraging it? And I will tell you, for me anyway, the answer is yes. But the thing you have to remember is everything in life is a challenge. And especially now, most people are not graduating from college and starting into one job and staying there until they retire. People kind of move around. You have to be creative. You have to work hard. So if art is what you love, then that's what you should pursue, because that's where you'll be motivated to put forth the effort that's needed to be successful. And there are so many exciting opportunities for creative people in the world today. So really, open your mind to that, do some research. Everything you see around you was made by a creative person or they had a hand in it. So there's a lot more than just making paintings that hang on a wall. There's all kinds of different things that you can go into with this talent. There's still a lot more I want to do. I want to keep learning and exploring and trying new things too. It's a very exciting field to be in. I do want to just share with you a little bit about a project that I started a few years ago called You Will Rise, kind of going back to that story about the bullying that I experienced as a kid. I kept hearing stories in the news about young people who were harming themselves because of the bullying that they experienced. And I knew that for me, art was what helped me get through that. So I'm still good friends with my childhood art teacher, and we began this project where we empower young people to create art about their experiences with bullying, and then we do exhibits, we display them, we have workshops where we get the young people together. And it's been so powerful to witness that. It's just another way for me to kind of experience the power of art. And there is a power in what you all do and what we do. For me, that's been one area where I've really been able to see that and appreciate it. So if that is something that might be of interest to you, check it out, youwillriseproject.com. We've been doing it now for 8 years all over the country, and it's a pretty exciting project. Art is so important in this world for so many different reasons. It just seems like everything is so black and white. People make a decision about a story without even reading it just based on a headline. And policies get made because of tweets. So I think art is especially important now because artists can create something that makes people stop and look and think about something a little bit longer. And also just to question like the accepted norms. I try to do that with my own art. When something really bothers me, then I need to make a painting about it or do a drawing, because then that's my way of contributing to that conversation. Don't just try to do what you think somebody else wants you to do. Find your own voice. It could be a long process. I'm still working on it myself. Don't be afraid to be you. Say what you have to say, because if you just try to copy somebody else, that's already been done. Do your own thing. If you decide to pursue art in one way or another, and that doesn't mean you have to become a professional artist, you might find your path takes you in a different direction. You can always be an artist too. And for everybody who's an artist, get comfortable with mistakes, because you're going to make a lot of them. You're going to probably make some ugly stuff. I have. I still do sometimes. But that is where you learn the most from those pieces. And a lot of times I think, especially with social media now, we're used to getting instant feedback. We create something, we post it, we want everybody to love it. And if they don't, then we think, what's wrong with us? What's wrong with me? I must suck. That's probably not the best way to be shaping your choices. The mistakes that you make are valuable, because then you realize, I need to practice this more, or I need to study this in a different way or whatever. So don't worry about what the people on social media think, Thousands of likes are meaningless. You can buy that. That's nothing. But to actually get real feedback from somebody who cares about you and your work, that means all the difference. I do use social media a lot. I kind of make fun of it too, but I do use it, and it's helped my career. But I don't use it to get feedback on my work. I have a few select friends whose opinions I value, and that's who I reach out to when I finish a piece and I want to know what they think about it. That's been a lot more useful for me. The other piece of advice I will tell you is that everybody expects young people, especially if you're kind of getting close to maybe graduating from high school, they expect you to know what you're going to do with the whole rest of your life. And that is kind of intense and scary, especially for creative people, because it's not like there's always this perfect path that you follow. Mine has been crazy. Don't be afraid to change your mind. And the example I will give you, when I first started out in art school, my chosen major was animation, because I'd always loved cartoons and characters and stuff. I took one animation class and hated it, because nobody told me that there's a lot of math involved, and I do not like math. It's like, what is the deal here? So I switched, and I'm so glad I did. It occurred to me, people are going to think that I've made a mistake, or that I'm no good, or that I've failed, or all of those things, because every artist, I'm sure, has some insecurity at some level, but you've got to do what's right for you. And for me, switching was absolutely right. I switched to illustration, and I took a lot of fine art classes, and that's what I do now. So don't be afraid to change your mind. And then the last thing I'll say is that we kind of live in a world where people get made fun of if they try too hard. You've probably heard that said about somebody at some point, like criticizing you for trying too hard at this, or she tried too hard. But my personal philosophy is you can never try too hard. It's better I would rather fail because I tried too hard than because I didn't put forth enough effort. And it does take a lot of work, a lot of effort to get where you want to go. People who are successful often try to make it sound like success just happened to them because they were so great. I'm so talented that all these opportunities just dropped on my lap, but that's not how it works. I don't know any successful person, if they were being honest, that would tell you that story. What it really takes is you have to have more confidence in yourself than all of the other factors that are telling you no. If somebody says you're not good enough, or if you get rejected from a show, or whatever it might be, you have to still believe in yourself enough to get past that and keep going, because after a few no's might be the next really awesome yes. And that's how it's always been for me. I've had a lot of exciting opportunities. I've also had a ton that seemed like they were going to be great, and then don't let the discouraging things keep you from going where you need to go. Seeing this show, I can tell you that we are in a room full of talented people, and the world has so many opportunities in store for you, so don't sell yourself short. And I hope that you always remember this experience today. As you look around at the other work in the room, don't be intimidated by things if you feel like somebody might be doing something that's better or more interesting, or they have more technical skill than you, because I know we do that sometimes as creative people. We're always like comparing. Don't do that to yourself. Be inspired by what you see. If you see something that you haven't tried before, then think, I'm going to try that next, and I'll do it in my own way. Just really enjoy this moment, make the most of it, and hopefully for all of you, it will be the first of many award ceremonies. So congratulations to everybody, and thanks for letting me share this.